Hi crafting friend, today I am going to be doing our truck cardboard cutout. And so what I have today is the truck, and then I also have the napkins from the September 2023 Napkin Club or Crafting and Christ Kit Club. And so I'm going to be using some of those patterns today, and I also have the kit, the things that came with the kit, and things that you will also need if you do not have the kit. If you have the kit, it came with the Mod Podge and your brush, but you'll also need a glue gun. I have my scissors. I have just some plastic wrap or saran wrap to use to press the papers on there. I have a sanding block to do the edges, some water for my brush, and I think that is about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. You could paint this. I'm actually gonna try something a little bit different today. So for those of you that don't have paint, or this is just gonna be a little bit of different technique, I'm actually gonna use the extra napkin that we have to do a base on it. Hopefully you can see. I'm gonna move some of this stuff out of the way. Because if you haven't watched one of our videos today, we custom print all of our designs. And so we only are able to custom print the front to keep it affordable. And so that's because we use US printers. We don't print anything over any of our papers overseas. And so we have all this extra napkin that we can use. So I'm gonna be using that today to do the base of the truck. So I'm gonna be using this design on my truck. So I'm gonna just cut the front here. I have to use my kitchen scissors. I bought some really nice scissors online. I keep getting ads for those Guggenheim scissors, and I finally splurged and bought them, but I left them in my craft room, so I don't have them out here today. But I'm going to use the napkin as the base. And I didn't kind of think of how I want to do this before, but I want to leave the little part of the rails brown. So I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do this. I might actually just put it over the whole thing, and then I'm just not going to Mod Podge. I'm not going to Mod Podge this part of it. So I think that's what I'm going to do. But, so I don't need this part here. I'm just going to cut this off. I'm just going to kind of rough cut that so I don't have to work with this part either. But what we're going to do is, these are really nice quality 3-ply napkins. So I just need the 1 ply. So I'm just seeing if there's any edges here I can work with to try and get a single ply off. There we go. So I'm just going to separate the plies so that I just get the 1 ply. And for some reason, this one is giving me issues. I usually never have any issues. But we'll just keep working this. Probably because the napkin that I am working with, I always take the funky ones that come in on the top of the packages, and I keep those for myself to work with, so that you're not getting them in the ones that you purchase. So I'm kind of working with a wonky napkin to begin with. So that might be part of my problem. All right, there we go. Just gonna keep peeling this off gently so that I just get the very top piece there. And you'll know you have the top piece when it's kind of transparent and the other piece is like thicker. So you'll know that that's the one that has the 2 plies still. So that's what I'm going to use, just so that I have, again, you can paint this, but for those of you that don't have paint, or maybe you don't have an extra craft stash to use, I wanted to try and just do the video with the stuff that's in the craft box in case you don't have other things. But another option would be to just paint it white, or to, I've seen ones where they just paint the tires black or do different things, but just so that we're really using stuff that is in the kit, I'm gonna do it this way. So for my Mod Podge, I'm gonna just cover the areas that I want the paper to stick to. So I am gonna be careful and just follow along the bottom here, so that my Mod Podge is only going to go along the bottom of the line, because I don't want it to stick. I want to leave the, what do you call these? Like the grate part? Oh, the racks of the truck. I want to leave those brown, so I don't want the paper sticking to that part. So I'm just gonna paint my Mod Podge. And we're doing this part first. So this has time to dry so we can kind of layer up our other parts. So I'm just applying my Mod Podge on here, working around the top of the truck. This doesn't really have to be pretty. You don't want it too thick, just kind of a nice thin layer. Make sure we get it covered all the way. I'm here in Arizona, so I gotta kind of work fast so it doesn't dry on me, but I think we've got it covered pretty good there. So I'm gonna stick that in there, and then I'm just gonna lay it across. And I'm gonna do light feathery motions from the inside out. And then this doesn't have any words on it, but I always use the plastic, and this helps me get the any of the wrinkles out, because a lot of our papers do have the words on it, and this allows us to press and work the paper without smearing the words or getting stuck to the paper. So I'm just keeping the Ziploc just kind of pressed down, and then I'm using my hands to just work out, and then that's it. So we're gonna let that dry. I'm gonna hold it over here by the spot that isn't tacky, but you can kind of see there what we've got going on. It's just, we're just gonna let that dry. So I'm just gonna push it over here to the side and let that do its thing. And then I'm just gonna take my extra paper here and just kind of, I don't want to wipe my mat here so that we don't have anything else sticking. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I have my little mini maple leaf here that also came with the kit. And the napkin that I want to use on this, because my idea is I'm gonna stick these little things in the back of the truck. Is what I'm thinking. I'm gonna kind of stick it behind so it's coming out. So I want to use the hem for that. So I'm gonna decoupage the hem on the napkin, or I'm gonna decoupage the hem on the leaf. So for that one, I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna cut the design out so I'm not working with the whole napkin. I just wanna work with this part of the Jesus is Calling hem. So we'll just cut out the portion that we're working with so we don't have the whole napkin. I just love these hems. I think this one's gonna be super popular. And for this one, we've just gotta figure out where I want the hem. How I want it to be. I don't know yet. I'm gonna go ahead and separate my layers and see what we've got. This one I kind of lucked out. It was already separated for me. So I'm just gonna peel the top. There we go, you can kind of see it. It's just, we've got that transparent part. And again, you wanna work carefully so it doesn't start splitting on you. All right, and then I can kind of see how all right, so I think I'm gonna end up doing it like this. Like that. So what I'll do is I will get my Mod Podge on there. And if you hear me say Mod Podge, I say it wrong like half the time. So just know that you know what I'm talking about. Okay. All right, so then I'm just gonna spread this around my leaf. And this one I'm working from the center out because this does have a lot of like pokey spots here. I do need to add a little bit more there to this other side. And this one, since we're not using the hole, you'll notice me, if you've watched any of these others that we do projects with the hole, we will poke through the hole while it's still wet. Since we're not using the hole on this one, I'm not gonna poke through it because I'm not using it as an actual ornament. I am using it I want it as a full piece. Okay, so I did my light leaf feather from the inside out, and then I'm gonna use my paper and I'm just going to press and get all my edges so that it's nice and flat. Now you are gonna be able to see through the hole on this one. Oh, and I can see I didn't get the tip on it, so I'm gonna have to add just a teeny bit more Mod Podge on here. There we go. So you'll be able to see that, you can see through the hole on this, but when the way I place it, I'm gonna hide the hole, so it'll be fine. Okay, so we will let that dry as well before we start messing with it anymore. And then these are my extra pieces. So let's go back to this guy and see how we are doing. All right, so we've got some of the brown of the truck coming through, which is fine, I like that. And I think for now, we are probably good to start sanding. I'm gonna get some more. All right, so I have my sanding block, and what I'm gonna do is just come through here on the edges, and I'm just gonna start sanding the edges. And this is how I'm going to take the edges off. So the same thing that we would do for wood is what I'm gonna be doing to get the edges off. So you can see I'm just lightly sanding the edges, and that's just gonna clean it up. And again, when we sand, we're pulling from the front and we're just sanding on the way back. I'm not going back and forth because that could rip the paper up and then you're gonna be missing some paper on the front. So I'm only dragging on the way back. And then if it is still wet, then, or if it's not all the way attached, you will have some spots like this where it kind of just ripped it off. And so what I may do when I get done is I might come back through with some little, with some brown paint, and I might age that a little bit. So again, there's always a way to fix little little screw ups. If we mess it up, we can always fix it when it comes to art. Okay, and if it gets where it's a little too tight to get the sanding block in, what we can also do is we can take our paintbrush and we can actually get it a little wet, and we can come in here with the water and we can do it that way. So we can take the water, get it wet, and we can actually decoupage edge it. And that will allow us to just lightly tear the paper as well. So on those spots that you can't get the your sanding block in, you can also do it with just a little bit of water. Ideally, I would want a smaller brush than this. This is like way too big of a brush to be doing that, but I don't have one in here, so. Note to self, bring more than one brush when you're doing a tutorial. So I'm just gonna keep working this around. Again, I'm just using my water on this one to poke through the holes here. Just grabbing that extra paper. Again, working it, pulling it from the front to the back. because you do want that to work around. Get something smaller in there. All right, so keep working that. Again, you'll just see I'm just getting the inside a little bit wet and then pulling it through. And then once I get it pulled through, I think I can get my sanding block in there. I need a smaller sanding block. I saw someone on a video, I think it was one of our partners, DIY Dreaming. She had a little finger sander she got off Amazon, I think. I might have to go back and find out where she got that because that is what I need right now. Okay, so now I gotta see if I can get this line really good that I wanted for my little truck, because this is where you're going to be looking, and so I do want this line kind of nice and clean. All right, keep working around. And again, when I get done, I may have to do a lot of cleanup before I take the picture. I have never done this using the napkin as the background instead of paint. And this has a lot of angles, so. Got a little crazy with the tire. Okay. So, all right, I am gonna do one little touch-up spot right now because I just over sanded the tire a teeny tiny bit. It happens. So if it happens to you, know that it happened to me too. So if you do that, you can go back, just add a little bit more and just work it back in. The other thing that you can do too is you can take a little piece and you can just add it. So just tear pieces and just fill it back in. And then once that dries, like you probably aren't even gonna see that. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I just messed up my whole project. Probably not. And again, like I mentioned, I might go back in and like age a little bit of this. So I'm gonna take another couple pieces because there's another spot over here that I didn't have the whole, this wasn't glued down enough. This front part here. Before I started sanding, it wasn't all the way glued down. So I'm gonna add another little spot in the front of that. And then I won't do any more cleanup on it now, but definitely when the video's done, I'm gonna have to do more cleanup on these edges, but I'm gonna keep moving forward for the sake of time. So we'll move on to the design. And so this was the design that I'm going to use. I'm actually just going to use the middle of it here, the bless the Lord on my soul part. And how I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to just use my fingers to tear out the center portion of the design that I want, to just give it a rough edge. And then I'm still going to keep these flowers and stuff. So I'm actually not going to tear through any of that. It's also kind of why I'm not cutting. And then I like when you tear it like this, you can kind of direct how you're tearing with your fingernails, so that it doesn't get too crazy. You can go in when you want, and you can go out when you want, you can go around the letters that you want. So you have like a lot of control when you tear it like this. All right, so I've got pretty much my whole wreath there and all the butterflies and everything. And then there was one part of the wreath that's still there. I don't want that floating by itself. And I'm going to separate my layers so that I just get the top layer. So separate that. This is left over. And that should fit right there. So this is my vision of where that's gonna go. I gotta dry my brush off here. Okay, so I'm gonna put my Mod Podge down there. I'm going to cover that whole section because I know it's going to cover that whole section, and this is already dry from before, so we're good. And I got to make sure that it's straight and it fits on there. Light feathers. I'm going to come back with my Ziploc so that I can push all the bubbles out so it's nice and flat. All right, perfect. Now I can come back over if there are some bubbles. Now one thing that I do see is my sole ended up being in the hole of the bottom of my car. So that's not gonna work. So what I am actually gonna do is I'm gonna tear the old my sole part off because it's gonna end up in my little tire well thing here, so you're not gonna see it. So I've gotta tear that part off. Bummer. And that would be because I didn't place it right. So that's a bummer, but that is my fix for that. So basically you can see what I did. I just had to tear off the sole part on my sole part. So now it just says bless the Lord. So that would be how you would fix that if that unfortunately happens too. But yeah, basically what happened is the oh my sole part ended up right here. So when I sanded that out, the oh my part would have been missing and it wouldn't have made any sense. So that's how I'm gonna fix that. Okay, the next part that I wanted to do was I'm gonna use the Rejoice in the Lord. And I actually wanna use this fall thing up here. So again, I'm just gonna cut out the part that I need here. And I would save all these because we can use these for other projects. So don't think that just because you use part of the napkin, you can't. I would save all the other pieces because I might use these butterflies and this wreath for another project. I mean, obviously I'm going to use the verse for another project just because I'm just using this one part today. So I'm actually going to cut it. And then I'm going to tear it because I wanted to have a clean cut above the rejoice part. So I will go through and just kind of tear around this. Oop. And that's just so that we don't have like a nice perfect edge. We want kind of like a messy edge, I guess. It looks, I don't know, I like that look better when it comes to like a mixed media. This would be called like a mixed media project where we're like layering different things. And you know what? On this, I actually am gonna go through on the top, and I am gonna cut the top exactly straight because I am lining it up against a straight edge. So I am gonna cut the top straight, but the bottom's gonna be all messy. So that's kind of what it looks like. So then I'm going to put that right underneath my thing. I actually have to shorten this a little bit because it doesn't fit. All right, so you're gonna wanna make sure it fits if you're doing this exact thing. Okay, there we go. All right, so next I gotta get my layers separated. Be real gentle on this one because it is skinny, so it might want to try and split on you. All right, so I got my layers done. I'm gonna put my little thing of Mod Podge right across the top there. There we go. And I'm gonna line it right across the top and try and get centered. Okay, and then I am gonna feather these pieces down. And I'm gonna bend the top over. And this looks pretty good. I don't think I need to use the ziplock on it. Okay, so I'll show you what I got there. So you can see that I've got the little flowers coming down on that. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is finish our little maple leaf. So I just wanna make sure we have all the edges up. So we're going to let that dry. And then we're gonna come in here and sand off our maple leaf. I'm just working through all the edges, just like we did our truck. And working around. Now, if you don't have a sanding block, the other thing that you could use is just a regular fingernail file, which might actually be better for something smaller like this than a big old block, because you could really get in those edges. Which may need to be what I use on that to clean it up, actually. I'm saying it out loud. Okay. Okay, so here's what our little hemnal maple leaf looks like right now. Little pieces. All right, so that looks perfect. You could save this. There's still a few little hem pieces. You might be able to get like a bookmark out of here. So I would probably save that. And then we'll bring our truck back here. And the next thing I want to do is start gluing my little pieces together. So what I'm kind of envisioning is something like this, where I have these little pieces coming up like this. This is kind of what I'm envisioning, something to the effect of this. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and glue my maple leaf where I want it, because I need to have it on there where it hides the hole, and also comes down far enough that it covers the bottom. So then I can see where I want the other leaves to go. All right, so I think we're going to go here. So I will tack one here. Doesn't lift up there. And then my other one is probably going to be a very similar angle. Like that. So we'll take those ones. Sorry, my dog's freaking out outside. Who knows what he sees. Or thinks he sees. Okay. Alrighty. So we've got that. And then the last little thing that we have is our little charm. Each kit came with a different one, so I just have the little acorns. So I just need to figure out, I think I decided I was going to put mine right there. And I didn't do anything to them, it's just that. So I think that is where we are going to end up. I am going to get a smaller sanding block and finish all my edges and just clean it up a little bit and take a picture so that I can put it on there. But that is it. That is our tutorial for our fall truck. I would love to see yours. So if you have the kit or get some of the supplies or the napkins or the truck, please make sure you share it with us. You can tag us on social at Christian Craft Paper. Again, thank you for watching the tutorial today, and until next time, happy crafting!